You think you grew out of it. The nightlight, checking under the bed, that feeling that something's watching from the end of the hallway. You didn't. Being afraid of the dark isn't childish. It isn't a phase you failed to shake. It's the single smartest thing your ancestors ever did. Don't believe me? Turn off every light in your house tonight. Sit in the dark and don't move. Within seconds, some part of you will start listening. Your heart will lift. Your eyes will strain at shapes that aren't there. You'll feel watched. That reaction isn't irrational. It's a warning system 3 million years in the making. And it's about to tell you something true about what you really are. Most people assume the fear is about the dark itself. It isn't. You're not afraid of the absence of light. You're afraid of what the absence of light hides. And for almost the entire history of our species, something was always hiding there. To understand why, you have to let go of one comfortable idea. You have to stop believing we were always at the top. Because we weren't. For most of our story, we were near the bottom. We were prey. In 1924, in a limestone quarry in South Africa, workers pulled a small fossilized skull out of the rock. Not a human skull, exactly an early ancestor called Australopithecus, a child who lived nearly 3 million years ago. It became one of the most famous fossils ever found, one of the first real proofs that humanity began in Africa. But decades later, researchers looked closer at the eye sockets. There were tiny puncture marks gouged into the bone, the exact marks left by the talons and beak of a large bird of prey. This child hadn't just died. It had been killed and carried off by an eagle, its skull dropped among the bones of other small animals in what was almost certainly a nest. In that story, our ancestor wasn't the hunter. It was the meal. And it wasn't a one-off. In a cave called Swartkrans, a scientist named C.K. Brain spent years examining hundreds of early hominid bones. Everyone assumed they were leftovers that our ancestors had dragged prey into the cave to eat. Brain found the opposite. 2 neat puncture holes in the back of one hominid skull lined up perfectly with the spacing of a leopard's lower fangs. We hadn't eaten the leopards. The leopards had eaten us, hauling our ancestors up into the trees the way leopards still store a kill today. Brain gave his findings a title that quietly rewrote the story of where we come from. He called it The Hunters or The Hunted. For most of our history, the answer was hunted. 2 anthropologists, Donna Hart and Robert Sussman, spent years pulling together every case like this, and there were far more than anyone expected. Big cats, hyenas, crocodiles, snakes, and birds of prey all left their marks on early human bones. Their conclusion was blunt. For millions of years, being an early human meant being on the menu. Predators weren't a rare tragedy that struck now and then. They were a constant. A background fact of life the way weather is for you. Something was always trying to eat us, and it was very good at it. And you can still watch it happen today. In the forests of Africa, crowned eagles drop out of the canopy and snatch monkeys clean off the branches. When researchers compared the damage those eagles leave on modern primate skulls to the marks on that 3 million-year-old child from the quarry, they lined up. The kind of thing that killed our ancestor never went extinct. It's still out there, still hunting. It just stopped hunting us. Now picture that world after sunset. You are small, you are slow, your claws are useless, and your teeth are flat. And your eyes, the same eyes you're using right now, are nearly worthless in the dark. A leopard gathers light through its eyes 6 times better than you do. A lion can see you long before you'll ever see it. To an owl, a moonless night looks like an open field. For your ancestors, night wasn't rest. Night was the stretch of hours when everything that wanted to eat them could see perfectly, and they couldn't see at all. The sun going down wasn't the end of the day. It was a countdown. There was only one thing on Earth that could push the darkness back. Fire. Fire did 2 things at once. It let our ancestors see, and it held the predators at the edge of the light. Anthropologists who study the last remaining hunter-gatherer groups keep finding the same brutal pattern. The people who stay close to the fire at night live. The ones who wander off into the dark are the ones who don't come back. So night after night, for hundreds of thousands of years. The humans who felt a cold spike of fear at the edge of the firelight pulled themselves back toward the flame. And the ones who felt nothing who strolled calmly out into the black quietly removed themselves from the family tree, one by one, generation after generation. Think about what that means. You are descended from the nervous ones, the ones who couldn't relax in the dark, the jittery, the watchful, the easily spooked. The fear you feel when the lights go out isn't a weakness that slipped through. It's the exact trait that kept your bloodline alive. It's their fear, still burning in you. And here's the part that should give you chills. That fear was never taught to you. It came built in. Children all over the planet develop a fear of the dark at roughly the same age, around 2 years old, no matter what culture they're raised in, whether anyone ever warned them or not. It arrives on schedule, like teeth. Psychologists have shown that humans learn to fear certain things far faster than others. Pair a snake or a spider with a small shock, and the fear locks in almost instantly and refuses to fade. Try the same thing with flowers, or even a picture of a gun, and it barely takes hold. Your brain came preloaded to fear the things that killed the people you descend from. And near the very top of that ancient list sits the dark and whatever moves inside it. Deep in your head sits a small almond-shaped cluster called the amygdala. It's your threat detector, and it runs faster than conscious thought. In the dark, it goes on high alert before you've decided anything. Your body floods with cortisol and adrenaline. Your hearing sharpens. Your pupils blow wide open, straining to catch light that isn't there. It's the same reason a sudden sound in a dark room makes you freeze before you can think the ancient circuit fires first. And your conscious mind scrambles to catch up, trying to explain a fear it's already feeling. Without ever choosing to, you begin preparing to run from a predator that hasn't existed in your life for a single day. Which brings us to the strangest part of all. That specific feeling, the certainty that something is there, the sense of being watched from the dark, isn't a malfunction. It's a strategy. Look at it the way evolution does. If you assume the rustle in the dark is nothing, and you're wrong, you die. If you assume it's a predator, and you're wrong, you feel foolish for a few seconds. Over millions of years, the ancestors who always assumed the worst outlived the ones who stayed calm and curious. So your brain evolved one simple rule for the dark: assume you are being hunted. That's why the empty hallway feels occupied. That's why the shape in the corner slowly becomes a figure. That's why the silence seems to be holding its breath. Your mind isn't glitching. It's doing the exact thing that kept your ancestors alive, filling the darkness with a predator, just in case there's one there. And then, in a flash of history so recent it barely registers, all of it changed. We lit the world. First fire, then oil, then candles, then a switch on the wall you can flip without a thought. In a couple of thousand years, nothing. On the scale of evolution, we erased the danger that had shaped every single night for 3 million years. The leopards are gone. The eagles are gone. The dark outside your window is just dark now. But nobody told your body. The wiring is still there, exactly as it was. The amygdala still fires. The cortisol still floods. When the lights go out, a system built to keep you alive against creatures you will never meet switches on, right on schedule, and whispers the same warning it whispered 100,000 years ago around a dying fire. Something is out there. We flipped a switch and told ourselves the monsters were make-believe. And in a way, we were right. But the fear was never really about the monsters. The fear is about memory, a memory your body refuses to let go of, even though you can't remember it yourself. So tonight, when you turn off the light and feel that old flicker of unease in the dark, the one you were so sure you'd outgrown, don't be embarrassed by it. That fear is the oldest thing you own. It's older than language, older than farming, older than every word humanity has ever spoken. It's a message handed down, unbroken, through 3 million years of ancestors who were frightened enough to make it to morning. The dark isn't dangerous anymore, but some quiet part of you will never fully believe that. And that part of you is the whole reason you're here at all.